𝗘𝗕𝗂𝗰𝗁𝗄𝗕.
All right, we have discussed in another segment that we can use the PFT chart like this one and just write a formula to determine how to calculate a specific volume, or a requested volume, which is really just perhaps one that the NBRC wants you to determine. So just to refresh ourselves on determining what the formula could be, consider this. Let's just say the NBRC wants you to determine the FRC on a patient, but instead of just you determining the formula yourselves, the NBRC has kindly written out 4 of them. Isn't that kind of them? And they want you to choose. Now, only one is right, but we have to figure that one out. So the entire question could look something like this. The chief pulmonologist of the department asked the respiratory therapist in the pulmonary function lab to determine the patient's value for functional residual capacity. Which of the following equations could be used to accurately determine the requested value? And then, of course, we have some equations, 𝗘𝗓𝐶 plus 𝑉𝐶 plus 𝑅V, and then we have 𝑉𝐶 plus 𝑅V minus 𝐼𝐶, etc. So we have some equations there. There we have it, 4 little cute formulas. And they all look pretty good until you check them out. They may be kind of winking at you saying, choose me. But 3 of these guys are imposters. They don't work. Only one of them does. So I want to just be honest now. I've never been able to glance at one, and I'm a PFT technologist, and just look at one and just know that that's the one. Some people could do that. If you're one of them, I'm probably kind of jealous. But if you're like me, you have to kind of test each one. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so let's take a look at option A. Now, if you're on the exam, here's where you probably should use the scratch piece of paper I talked about in another segment before the test to draw out the entire PFT chart so that you can visualize it. I like to do it before the test starts because there's some time there that you have at your desk before you've logged in. And then if you have that chart ready, then you're not taking time during the exam to draw the chart out. But we want it to remind ourselves where the volumes actually are, and we can visualize it from the question. That's kind of important. But I'm going to for this purpose, I'm going to animate this example for us because I like to just treat these as tiles and move them around and cover up and take away what I need to. All right, so first thing we have to ask is, what volume do they want? And if you look closer at the question, they want FRC, or functional residual capacity. So that's really like the start of the formula. So we would imagine that the front of all of these options is like there is a FRC is equal to, and then 𝗘𝗓𝐶 plus 𝑉𝐶 plus 𝑅V, or FRC is equal to 𝑉𝐶 plus 𝑅V minus 𝐼𝐶, etc. All right, so let's take a look at A. Now it says, first of all, FRC is equal to, that's not there, but we just know we're going to put that in there because that's what we're calculating, is equal to 𝗘𝐿C. Okay, there's the first part. Let's just go ahead and slide that over to the FRC, and well, dang, that covers it up. In fact, it's got way too much on top, doesn't it? It overcovers it. It's overhanging up there. So that part should actually be taken away, but let's see what option A actually does in the suggested formula. So after using 𝗘𝗓𝐶, option A, now we say that we add 𝑉𝐶. That's what the next part of the suggested formula. But look what happens when I slide it over to the FRC. Well, darn, now it's stacking on top of itself. Now that's not right. We shouldn't be double covering an area. 𝗘𝗓𝐶 is already covering the whole thing. No. I need to take away something, not add additional things and double cover what I've already covered by moving the 𝗘𝗓𝐶 over. So right at this point, option A is out. All right, and that just puts us on to option B, so let's check that one out. So it says FRC is equal to, doesn't say that, but that's what we're imagining, is equal to, and we're looking at the B option formula now, it's equal to 𝑉𝐶. Okay, that's a good start. If I slide that over, it overcovers part of FRC. I've got too much hanging over the top, and I don't quite have enough below, so I'm going to need to cut off the top and add more to the bottom. So there's a couple maneuvers I have to do here. Let's continue looking at B. So FRC is equal to 𝑉𝐶. The next part is plus 𝑅V. Ooh, I like that. Look, when I slide that over, it nestles into place nicely and covers the bottom part, and I wanted that part covered. All right, so that's helpful. Now, what else does B do? Well, then it takes away minus 𝐼𝐶. I like that also. That takes away the stuff that's hanging over the top of the FRC, and what is left is perfectly FRC, so that means B is a winner. Now, that takes a little practice, I know, and you should pause the video now and prove that C and D are also wrong by visualizing them. Just a little advice for you, especially if you're on the NBRC exam. Let's say you check out A and you think, that's not it. But then you look at B like we did, and we think that's the one, and that's the one that'll work. And guess what? That's the one, so it's still good practice to check out the other options just in case, the other ones. If by chance you find another one that looks like it works, you're probably making a mistake somewhere. So check the other one and see if you did the first one wrong, or figure out why the one you think now is second and is also correct, what you did wrong and why it really isn't correct. So you want to check that out. Now look, you're just trying to rule out the mistakes. I know people who just pick the first one that looks right, and they're probably fine most of the time, especially if they were careful when they did it. But if you feel you could take a little extra time to check the others, you'll be better off, and occasionally, you will find that you made a mistake on your first choice. So check that out. And that's how we pick the right PFT formula from some options given. By the way, this kind of question can take you like a minute or so to solve. Don't worry about that. Some questions take like 15 seconds, and others will, like this one, may take a minute and 15 seconds. Take your time on this one and get it right.